Previous to learning masking inside CreateStudio, I was kind of struggling with backgrounds. Why? Because I wanted to get characters interact with different objects of the backgrounds and really just add some depth to my scenes and create captivating videos for my audience. But it was almost impossible because the majority of the backgrounds available inside CreateStudio are single layered, which means that they cannot be manipulated and you can't really have characters interact with other objects of the background. For example, the background that you're looking at, if we have Tom and we want to have him show up behind this window, currently it is impossible to do that just because the background is a single layer. And so I want to show you how you can dive deeper into masking and really have fun, create depth to your scenes, and captivate your audience with the amazing videos that you're going to create. Hey, what's going on everyone? My name is Ali, and in this video, I'm gonna dive deeper into the power of track matte. So I've got an example that I wanna share with you. Let's go ahead and watch it and come back and have fun creating.
I think it's time to call my son and his wife for a nice meal.
I hope you enjoyed the video. Now it's time to discover the power of track matte. And before we dive deeper into this, I want to let you know that I've created a series of masking tutorials where you can find them on my channel. If you go to the playlist and find where it says CreateStudio working with masks, or simply click on the link that's going to show up on the top right corner and watch all 3 videos. These are going to teach you the fundamentals of masking, track matte, and how you can create multi-screens using masks, so you can understand exactly how to work with masks and really have fun. Then when you're done, come back into this tutorial, continue to watch it, and have fun adding some depth to your scenes. So I'm going to start by removing my text, and then I'm going to have Tom onto the right side for now. Then we can add some masks to create the illusion that Tom is actually going to walk in the backyard, and then he's going to show up behind the window when he gets there. So all I'm going to do is I'll start with adding some rectangles just about the same size of our window right there. So I'm going to hit the shift key along with the letter R to add a rectangle. Then I want to make sure that these guys are exactly the same size of my window right there. So we might want to zoom in just to be sure that we have the correct size for the window and we're not really missing on anything else. And make sure that you keep adjusting your rectangle size from all directions. And then when you're done, you want to make another duplicate. So you can hit the Control key along with the letter D to make a duplicate, then drag the other rectangle onto the middle of your window, just like this. You might want to zoom in also because this one has a little bit of gap right there that we want to fix. And then when done, you can make another duplicate by hitting the Control key along with the letter D to make another duplicate, and simply drag this guy over onto the right side of the window, just like that. Now we have our rectangles ready and are going to be used as masks. And so if we were to use the typical way of masking, it means that we're only going to use one of those rectangles, and we have to select it along with our character or whatever it is that we're working with, and right click and then choose mask. In such case, it's not possible. And this is why we are working with track matte, because it is very powerful and it lets you do magic, really magic, and have fun inside CreateStudio. Now, what's next is we're going to select the 3 rectangles, and we want to make sure that we line these guys up with our background at the bottom. I'm also going to change the action for Tom instead of idle. So I'll change that to walking. So I'm going to choose walking from the action list right there. And then I'm going to click on the walking action on the character's track to disable the start and ending animation, because Tom is only going to be walking from the right side here, right next to the window, onto the left side, outside the window from the left side. And so when doing that, we also want to bear in mind perspective. So we have to make sure that, because Tom is going to be walking, you know, farther out, obviously in the backyard, so he needs to be smaller in size. Once we get that covered, all we got to do is simply add some keyframes. And of course, we want to make sure that we extend the action of the walking for Tom. Also line this up with our background and the track match that we're going to use. It is very important, because we have 3 different rectangles, that we select all layers and then we group them up. So we select them all, right click and then choose group, right click again, and then we're going to choose rename and then call this mask for Tom. Then next up, we want to add some keyframes for Tom, right? So we can just select Tom, click on add animation above the timeline, go to properties, select position. Easing is going to be linear for both in and out. And then I simply just drag my second keyframe all the way until the end of the character's track. Make sure it is selected and turned in blue. Then simply hit the shift key on my keyboard. With my mouse, I can drag Tom and have him just walk over to the left side like this. And then when we're done, we can simply just keep selecting Tom. And this is where the magic happens. We're gonna go and find where it says settings on the right panel, or wherever it is based on the screen size you're working on. So go to settings and then find where it says track mat, click that. And then you're going to find a small panel, click the drop down menu, open it up, and then choose mask for Tom. Next, it is very, very important that you change the type from Luma to Alpha, just so we can see Tom in full color while he's passing by the window. Then now, we're all set. If I just go back from the very beginning, press play, and let's take a look at how magical this is, right? This is incredible. So with masks or with track mat, you can have so much depth in your scene and create captivating videos for your audience. Now, the reason why we're using track mat, because track mat, like I said, it is more advanced and it's more powerful. And when you use that, it doesn't merge the mask layers with your character or objects or whatever it is that you're masking it with, right? What happens is that when you apply track map, the mask layer remains in the timeline so that you can animate both differently. So you have the flexibility to animate your character separately, in our case, and animate the mask if we want to. But in this case, the mask, it will remain still on the window so that, when Tom passes by, we can see him behind the window just like that. But when using the typical way of masking, that when you select, let's say you have a rectangle and then you highlight it as well as Tom, right click and use mask. What happens is that the mask becomes part of Tom's track in the timeline, right? So what you can do is you can either animate the mask separately when you detach the mask, or use the mask as is and really just have limited options working with the typical way of masking. It's the reason why we use track mat, because it doesn't merge the layer with our assets in the timeline. It remains still. So you can see we have the mask layer right there. So if I drag this group, right, and to take it to the right side, for example, now you're not going to be able to see Tom. So Tom is actually walking behind, but we can't see him just because the mask does not exist on the layer. But if I drag the group back again, now we are able to see Tom right there behind the window. So that is one of the examples that you can use to create depth to your scenes and really have fun and captivate your audience, especially when you have a problem working with the single layered backgrounds inside CreateStudio. Now, I have another example also that's very awesome. It's one of CS's backgrounds that you can see here. Let me just go into the group and show you what this looks like. So we have Charlotte, and she's currently saying hi, and she's going to walk outside the door. Let me just go ahead and play it for you and then explain to you what is happening in this scene. So press play. Now she's going to start waving, and then she'll just walk to the right side, exiting the door of this room. Now, the secret of this is that there's no room or door actually for this room, right? Why? Because the room does not come with a door. If I remove the door layer that I have created, you can see this is the actual background and it doesn't come with a door. So what I basically did is I created a rectangle and I used that, or I reshaped it to make it look like it is a door, like going exiting to an empty room that's dark. And that's why when we have Charlotte walking from where she is outside the room, she becomes invisible. But if I just take off the mask, let's say for example, because I have the mask right there, right? I'm going to go ahead and click on the character, go into a track matte, and then undo this mask. I'm going to select a none, and you can see this is the mask that I use, right? So I'm going to show you how to create that, but I wanted to explain to you what is happening so you can have so much fun when working with single layered backgrounds, or if you want to create an illusion in one of your backgrounds, just like the example you're looking at, where you can add a door and then have characters exit and enter the room. So how did we do that? Let me just go ahead and delete this, and then also delete the door that I created. And again, this is just a simple background with no doors. So how do we do this? We simply just grab a rectangle. I'm going to hit the Shift key along with the letter R. Then I'm going to resize this right there, and then just make sure that I position it. And the cool thing about CreateStudio is that we now have a distortion feature that was added recently. It's so powerful because it lets us distort the images or shapes and position them where we want. So this is exactly what I used to give you the illusion that this was actually a door that I created, right? And then when done, I'm not going to perfect it, but I'll show you, how you can easily do that. And then when we're done, you can simply just click on the distortion button again to exit the mode. And we're simply going to extend the layer in the timeline, make sure it is lined up with the rest of the layers. I'll change this color to black right there. And then now for our character, like I said, it's very simple. We don't need to explain that. She's already starting to wave, and then we have some keyframes for her to walk from one position to another. Now I might want to make the rectangle a little bit bigger or taller so that, she looks just right. And then now it is time for us to create our mask, right? So all I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a rectangle by hitting the Shift key along with the letter R. So I can create that mask. I'm going to scale it up, and then I'm going to select the distortion feature by clicking on the distortion button or icon that shows right next to the color settings on top of the shape, and then distort the rectangle like this from the top, and just make sure that I line it with my door like that, so that when Charlotte goes out the room, she's not going to be visible. And then when you're done, want to make sure that you extend the layer of your mask, which is the rectangle that we're using. Because like I said, because this is going to be used as a track matte, it needs to be lined up perfectly with your other layers in the timeline. Otherwise, you might have a problem that your object or characters will not be visible once they go out of the mask, right? Now I can just go ahead and rename this and call it mask right there. And then I'm simply just going to select Charlotte and then go under settings, click on track matte, open the drop down menu, and then I'm going to choose mask. And then the type, you need to change it from Luma to Alpha. It's already set. That's great. Then I can just go ahead and press play, and there you have it. Let's go and have fun watching this as she walks out and exit the room. Oops. Okay. I'm sorry. It looks like I have the door room above her. So I'm going to drag this underneath the character. Now let's play again, and this should look right by now. Awesome, right? Look how amazing is that. This is very, very beautiful. Next up, I have another example as well that is also one of CS's backgrounds. So this is a supermarket that we've got here. And as you can see, this is a single layer image. And the example that I want to share with you is this, where we have Linka, and she is behind. So what I basically did, I used the pen tool at this point. So let me just go inside the group. And then so I used the pen tool to draw around the fruits in the front area right there, so I can create my mask. So this is the other layer that you can see. If I just remove it, you can see that Linka is simply behind it. And again, this is very powerful when using the masks so that you can have characters interact with different layers of your scene. So as you can see, if I get Linka to walk, in any direction just behind the fruits right there, she's not going to be visible at from the bottom part of her body. But when I just get her out, now you can see, we can see her full body. But if we try to get her to the right side, again, we're going to have the same problem because that's a single layer. But if I want to create another mask, then I can easily do that. So that's what I'm saying, is that you can create magic with masks and track matte and add depth to your scenes to captivate your audience. Now, I hope you have enjoyed this video. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments below, and be sure to subscribe and like this video if you found it helpful. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.